Oh no! You've signed up for the BioWork course at Cape Fear Community College. What have you gotten yourself into? Well, okay, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. This course is going to be introducing the basics of bioprocess manufacturing and all the things that go on that make your drugs, whether those are going to be prescribed by a doctor or over the counter, solid dose, liquid injectables, aerosols, topicals, whatever the case might be. That is the purpose of the BioWork class. It is to give you an introductory kind of perspective of what goes on within these industries and fields. And I will say that this course is not meant to be very difficult. And at the end of the BioWork course, you will end up with a state-recognized certificate because we work very closely with the NC Bio Network, where companies that are located within the state know what this certificate is. And very often, they are requiring this certificate before you can get employment on the manufacturing side of the house. So, welcome aboard. Thank you for signing up for the class. Thank you for taking an interest in what we do here with the BioWork class at Cape Fear. Here you see my awful picture, and just to give you a little bit of background about me, because I already sound probably crazy, but a little bit background about me is that I've got an associate's in science, and I went to a community college after I graduated from high school. I had some advanced placement types of classes that I took, or AP classes in high school that I completed. I transferred directly to a community college. I finished out an associate's degree in about a year's time. And then from there, I transferred to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. There, I completed a bachelor's degree in chemistry with a specialization in biochemistry. So really kind of what that was all about was let's learn how the body's working. Let's learn more about proteins and DNA and RNA and metabolism. I really did not know what I wanted to do at that point. I thought that maybe I'll go to a medical school or maybe I'll go to pharmacy school. And the advisor at the time was like, well, this is probably what you need to take. So I signed up and I really didn't question it. And that's the route that I pursued. So after I completed a bachelor's degree at University of Virginia, I then transferred again for another time, and I went to Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And there I earned a master's degree in pharmaceutical chemistry and 2 certificates, one in what we call pharmaceutical regulatory affairs, and the second one in bioorganic processes. So the pharmaceutical regulatory affairs is all about how does a drug get approved, what are the steps that have to be taken, what's some insight on the clinical trials that have to be scheduled and kind of performed during that time. And then the bioorganic processes were more about how do those particular types of drugs interact inside of your body and how do they break down, what kind of reactions are going to go forward. Those are the types of things that were talked about and discussed in that certificate. So over a course of time, I'm not going to give you my job employment history, but I will say that I've been now teaching at a community college level for more than 20 years. And I have a very unique approach, I think, to teaching the sciences and especially the laboratory sciences, where I don't really take myself too seriously. I think that you're already going to kind of get that flavor a little bit if you've never had me before as an instructor. And I think it's really kind of meant to have fun. So I very often will kind of equate this to a kitchen at your house. And if you can follow a cake box direction and you can read step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you should be able to do any of the laboratory and any of this type of manufacturing work. That's what it's all about. It's reading directions, following the steps, doing what you're told, and at the same time, you get a pretty good paycheck at the end of this. So why not? So if you enjoy your time while you're with us, please spread the word. Tell other people about us. Say, listen, I took this BioWork class at Cape Fear Community College, and it was great. And, the instructor was the best instructor that I've ever had, and you've got to take one of these classes. You'll love it. So, I hope that you do that at least. I might be the worst instructor that you've ever had. I don't know. But at the same time, you're spreading the word. You're helping kind of generate some interest into the laboratory science and the life sciences sector that is particularly within the state of North Carolina. And The more people that we have on board, the more that we can supply that workforce, because there is a demand for these types of employees. Finally, if you have had me before, you probably have had me as an instructor in the chemical technology or the biotechnology sectors, which are the Associates of Applied Science degrees at Cape Fear Community College. So I normally kind of gravitate to the chemical technology side most of the time. That is where the analytical testing is taking place, and we're talking about instrumentation and basic laboratory techniques. And then a newer type of degree is maybe already started, depending on when you're watching these videos, and that is in the bioprocess manufacturing. So if you do enjoy your time here in the BioWork course, then you need to understand that you can get job promotions and you can work yourself up the career ladder, but very often it takes more than just this certificate. The certificate does a great job getting you in the door, getting you the basic work, getting you employed, getting you a paycheck. But at the same time, the more you want to go up, the more money you want to make, they're going to require a 2-year degree at least. So if you enjoy your time that you're spending with us in the BioWork class, please take a look at our Chemical Technology Associates of Applied Science degree or our Biotechnology Associates of Applied Science degree. And you can create those 2-year kind of pathways for you where you can start maybe at a company at a higher level based on your education and your experience. But BioWork will give you kind of the bare minimums that are going to be needed in order to get to this field of work. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And the very first module is all about pharmaceutical quality and GMP. And you're probably looking at this thing on, what is GMP? Okay, well, don't worry. That's kind of my time to shine a little bit and be like, hey, this is what this abbreviation means. So, when you watch these videos, please place me on double speed if you can handle that fast, and take notes and pretend like this is lecture that we're doing face-to-face. And I think that you will enjoy and you will learn more about the BioWork course and about this field at the same time, and you'll be more prepared for the quizzes and the tests that are going to be scheduled throughout the course, so that way you can end and get your certificate after we spend our time together. All right, so section 1.1 is all about the introduction, and I think that I need to kind of talk to you a little bit about the intention of the BioWork and what you've got yourself into. Oh no, what did I sign up for? I just paid $200 and some or maybe more, and I've got to figure out, what is this class going to do for me? Well, I hope you already know that, and if you don't know that, then okay, still welcome aboard. And the purpose of the BioWork class is to really focus on the manufacturing side of the house. That is what this is all about. So we are going to be straying away from what I would call maybe the more heavy types of ideas that would happen in a laboratory type of environment and analytical testing type of environment, and we are really focused on just manufacturing. So for instance, if you go out and you go to Walmart and you get an OTC, oh no, what is that? Okay, well, OTC is not an STD. OTC is over the counter. So you're going to go get an OTC, an over the counter drug. And let's say that that could be just something as simple as aspirin. How did that aspirin tablet get made? Right? That's really our focus in the BioWork. So it's not necessarily let's test the aspirin, let's make sure it is what it is, let's kind of go through that process. In a roundabout way, we do discuss that, but really we're more focused now on how does that medication, how does that prescription that you're picking up from the pharmacy, how does that liquid injectable that you have been prescribed to by a doctor, how do these over-the-counter drugs, how do all of these things get made? What is kind of the intention here? What is my responsibility as an employee? What should I be watching out for? That's what this course is all about. So a solid dose and an injectable and a topical and an aerosol are all going to be mentioned throughout our time together before you get your certificate in the end. And solid dose, I think, makes sense. Solid dose is some type of solid tablet or capsule maybe that you're swallowing down with, I hope, a glass of water. Injectables are going to be things like vaccines, maybe, and topicals are going to be any type of thing that you're rubbing on top of your arm or your elbow or your knee because, gosh, you got to get that drug in there somehow and it's got to be localized. And then an aerosol is, of course, anything that you spray and anything that you inhale. So all of these are going to be kind of danced around a little bit, but that is the purpose of the BioWork course. So our job here with the remaining time that we have together is to talk about what should I be doing as an employee when I go in and I am on the manufacturing line and it's my job to maybe help make some of these types of materials. What should I be doing? Where should my mind be at? And what are my expectations that I should know, that I should bring to the table? What are the company's expectations for me? So that way I can do my job extremely well. Here's some pictures of maybe some of those type of work settings. And again, this is somewhat different than the laboratory testing side of the house. So it's all about big things. So we're talking about big fermenters and big bioreactors, and we're talking about centrifuges that are bigger than me. We're talking about filtration systems that are going to be bigger than me. We're talking about this big, massive piece of instrument maybe that I'm going to have to use and learn how to use so that way I can make that pharmaceutical drug the best way possible according to the company standards. So these are the types of environments that you would be working in on the manufacturing side of the house. Notice what's happening here is that it is mainly hands-on. That is where this is. And there's very little what I would call like straight up science or straight up math. You got to know some basics, but by no means is this like a college chemistry level thing that I'm going to have to figure out what to do. That is not how this process works. So with that said, I think that this is a very good entry point for really anyone that's just looking for a career that, hey, this kind of thing excites me. This kind of thing interests me. I know that I don't necessarily have to be a math whiz. I know that I don't necessarily have to be a science whiz. So therefore, the manufacturing route might be a little better suited to me. Or if you are coming in the perspective of an analytical tester, so maybe you're in our chemical technology program already and you're wanting this certificate to add to your resume. That is wonderful. That's great, because when you go to these big heavy hitters like Merck or Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson, whatever the case might be, then you've got some options. You can go work on the laboratory testing side, or you can go work on the manufacturing side. So that is a great resume booster. And then even if you don't want the manufacturing side, they will appreciate that you are that you have knowledge and that you're walking in to that job, whatever job that you're doing, with the knowledge of how are these things getting made on the other side of the house. So we heavily encourage it for anyone involved in those programs, of course. All right. Here's just another picture. These things I want you to understand, they're on like probably a second or a third floor. So these are not just little wells that are in the floor. These are actually the tops of these fermenters or bioreactors, possibly, depending on what they're using, depending on, how the company is made and what type of equipment that they have purchased for their processes. You're going to see quite a bit of different things that are going to take place in a industrial manufacturing type of setting within the pharma and the biopharma fields. So as you can see, this job environment looks very clean. Look how everyone is suited up. Look at the surroundings. There's no garbage. There's no trash. I'm not living on an episode of Hoarders, but everything is very self-contained. Everything is going according to plan by what we call a standard operating procedure or an SOP. We are making sure that everything stays clean, that we do not contaminate things. And, you would often see this even in like the food industry too. So, there's proper ways that we should be suiting up in the food industry. And, we want to make sure that we don't dump any hairs in somebody's coffee by the time that we fix it. So how are the processes that take take place, what are those like, and what should I be doing and not doing as far as the food industry goes. And there's inspectors for the food industry, and we've got to suit up, we've got to gown up, we've got to make sure that we don't contaminate products for other people, and there's inspectors for us too, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So remember that when you start kind of this career avenue, you've got to take your job very seriously. And the reason is because someone's life could be in your hands. You are making a pharmaceutical drug in some form or fashion, or a biopharmaceutical drug. And we'll talk about the differences a little bit later. But that drug that you are helping make, whatever that might be, that is eventually going to go in someone's body. So they're either going to swallow it, they're either going to inject it, they're going to inhale it, or they're going to apply it topically in some form or fashion. It is going to encounter someone, because that is the intention of the end result of that product that you are making. So you don't want to kill anybody. You don't want to send anyone to the hospital. You don't want to make anyone drastically sick. And we've got to keep that in mind as we're working within these industries, because our job roles are very, very important. We have to trust that you are doing your job the proper way. And one of the ways that we do that, there's some self-checks that are in place that will help us with that type of problem. But you've got to be very honest with your work. You have to be able to admit that you've made mistakes when you have made them, and you've got to be able to follow directions the best way possible. All right. So that's where this video is going to stop. I'm not, of course, done. There's going to be so many more, not only with the first lecture, but also throughout the entire time. So we've got 8 modules together, folks, and I have even barely covered the first paragraph of the first module. Can you believe it? So in the next video, we're going to continue on. We're going to talk about more of the industry. We're going to talk more about rules and regulations that we're going to have to follow and that companies have to follow if they make these particular types of drugs. So in the next video, that's where we'll start, and I'll see you then. So don't take a break. We're only 16 minutes into the lecture. You got plenty of hours left.